Hello and welcome to today's podcast. We have a really special guest with us from Queen's University. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Angelica?
I'm doing great. Thank you. So would you like to tell us something about Queen's University?
I would love to. Thanks, everybody, for taking a listen and having a watch. My name is Michelle, and I am the Regional Manager for International Enrollment at the undergraduate level, and I oversee the Middle East, Latin America, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So pretty big portfolio, but I am very excited to be here today to talk all things Queen's University. For those that are maybe unfamiliar with Queen's, and perhaps yourself included, Queen's University is in the city of Kingston, Ontario, Canada. It is a beautiful lakefront campus. It's mid-size in nature, home to about 20,000 students total, and we offer a wide variety of programs, with pillars of our programming being academic excellence, research, and student involvement.
Wow, wonderful. So how's the diversity on campus? Do you have a lot of international students from different countries, and how do you encourage it?
Great question. I think one of the things that attracts students from all over the world to Queen's is not just our rankings, but really that culture of best fit. So finding a student community and an academic community that works for them. With Queen's University being in the U15 group, so some of the top 15 universities of producing published research, being in the QS top 200, the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings, top 10 4 years in a row. I think all of those things are very much testimonials to the success of our students, but really the success of our students comes from their authentic lived experience. And the diversity on campus is both in mindset, cultures, but also where students are coming from. So we have 126 different countries represented in our Queen's community, all different nationalities from around the world. And we attract students from not just the Middle East, but parts of Africa, Latin America, South Asia, Greater China, Canada. So very much a diverse, very welcoming student environment.
Wonderful. That sounds like a really big group of students from all over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, Michelle, what are the most popular programs that students go for, especially those who are coming internationally?
Very good question. So we are a comprehensive university. That means that we offer a variety of programs at the undergraduate or bachelor's level, graduate and professional programs as well. But this also means because we are a comprehensive university, there's a lot of programs that we offer. So we have 8 different faculties and schools. The Faculty of Arts and Science is by far the largest. Students can combine areas of interest in psychology, that was my major, but you could minor that with film and media or chemistry. So very diverse in that setting. I would say our most popular by competitiveness would be our Smith Faculty of Commerce. The Smith School of Business would be our Faculty of Health Sciences and Nursing, as well as growing in popularity is our Smith Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering.
Wow, so those are a lot of different programs. Are there any new ones also coming in?
That's a good question. So at this point in time, we have our first intake for concurrent education French. So for those that are interested in being French teachers, that is available. Students get 2 degrees in 5 years plus 1 semester. So those students will graduate about 1 year earlier. We also, within the last 2 years, launched our concurrent education kinesiology program for those maybe interested in human kinetics or sport medicine. And not necessarily a new program, but a new investment in the Smith Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. That particular discipline received a $100 million donation from an alumni to help support our engineering faculty, but also to continue to support our internationally educated students.
That is a huge sum.
Yes. And because of that, we were very happy to rebrand our previous Faculty of Applied Science of Engineering to the Smith Faculty of Engineering and Applied Sciences.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Would you say it's easy to switch between programs? Let's say somebody doesn't want to continue or maybe wants to take on a new subject. How easy is it for international students or students in general?
Very good question. As young adults, we remember those days. We probably don't have our direct career paths in mind, or if we do, good for you. But with Queen's University, we do have a combination of general first years or what we call common curriculum. So I'll use the Faculty of Arts and Science as an example. A student can apply into a Bachelor of Science degree. Maybe they really want to go into biology. In their first year, they'll take a variety of different classes and then choose their major at the end of the first academic year. But maybe at the end of the first academic year, they want to add a minor from a different program within Faculty of Arts and Science or have a degree change. That's coordinated through the Academic Advising Office. Or the Smith Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. It's a common curriculum, and so long as you pass all of your first year classes, students are actually guaranteed their choice of discipline. And that's once again at the end of the academic year. So it gives a lot of flexibility in that first year as a young adult, but then you can work really closely with your embedded academic advisor and specific international academic advisors for those students who have additional questions as they progress through upper year.
So Michelle, moving on to scholarship. This is a major question for a lot of international students.
Yes.
What are the scholarship programs offered, and how easy is it for students to apply using those scholarships and availing them?
Absolutely. So very much when students are investing in a Queen's education, we want to reinvest in them. We also want to acknowledge our students' talents. And so we have a lot of very bright students from all over the world. We have a variety of scholarships available. Some are based on school location of study. Some are based on citizenship of the individual. Some are based on academic merit. So there is a range, but as a general blanket statement, I would probably say that Queen's University, for our international fee-paying students, have a no application required scholarship and award program. And the key scholarships that a lot of our students eye up tend to include the Principal Scholarship, valued at 7,000 Canadian dollars for the year. We have the Principal Scholarship India at 9,000 Canadian dollars and 10,000 Canadian dollars over 2 years. And then we also have the Dean's Scholars. Now, these are the big ones. These range for the Faculty of Arts and Science, as well as the Smith Faculty of Engineering, from 10,000, 15, 20, or 25,000 Canadian dollars per year, for a maximum value of 100,000 Canadian dollars. And then for our other faculties, including business and health sciences, those range anywhere between 10 and 15,000 per year. So definitely available for our students. They are automatically assessed at the time of application. And for any of our expats friends that are watching, if you have Canadian citizenship or permanent residency, there is an application-based admission award, and that deadline is December 8th. It's a lot of information to take in, Angelica. So my number one piece of advice to students is connect with our entrance awards team, or better yet, connect with Ms. Shireen Sheikh, who's based actually within the UAE, and she will be able to help facilitate that conversation.
Wonderful. There's a lot of scholarships and really, really good ones.
High value. I will say Queen's University's tuition ranges anywhere between 35,000 to 60,000 Canadian dollars per year. And so it's a strong recognition of our students' talents to make affording a Queen's education more accessible for everyone.
So accommodation is a really big concern again. So what type of housing plans are available for students, either on campus or off campus, and how does Queen's help them secure these accommodations?
So great question. I always tell my colleagues, you have to like what you're learning, but you have to love where you're living. So Kingston is a beautiful city, very safe and student run, but there are a lot of great accommodation options both on and off campus. So most of our students, about 95% of our incoming first year class, chooses to live within our residence buildings on campus. We have 18 different residence buildings, a variety of room styles, singles, doubles, single plus, which is a shared accommodation with a washroom, the most popular by choice. And with that, meal plan is also included in on-campus accommodation. So it's a very popular choice, but it's not for everybody. So for those students that are interested in living off-campus in their first year, we do have off-campus accommodations, and supports are available through the Off-Campus Living Advisors Office, or OCLA. Queen's is really big on acronyms. So they'll offer different website resources, webinars available in navigating that. Majority of our students, because first year residence is guaranteed for our international students on campus, Beyond first year, majority of our students tend to live off campus. Right. So even if our incoming class isn't navigating being off campus in their first year, it's probably a conversation that they're going to have with their friends and their families about how to navigate that in a new city at some point in their first academic year. And that's once again where the off-campus living advisor comes in and helps out. Our team in undergraduate admissions works really closely with what we call the Arrivals Committee, and we ensure that all of our students that are traveling from international destinations feel that level of support and get their questions answered when it comes to where they're going to live and how they can find places to live in the future. So very hands-on in that regard.
So Canada is really known for its cold, chilly winters. So what sort of advice would you give for students who are coming in, especially from warmer countries like the UAE?
Good question. Definitely something that you have to mentally prepare for. Very similar to my first trip coming into the UAE with the extreme heat. I will definitely remember the time that I came in June to the UAE, and that is just a different kind of heat.
Too hot.
So with that in mind, the example that I give the students is, it's going to be cold, but how can you best prepare for it? Very similar to that in the hottest peak time of a Dubai summer. You're probably not going to stand outside in the middle of the day with a sweater and trousers on and a jacket. You're probably going to seek air conditioning, dress appropriately. And that's what I tell our students about the winter in Canada, especially in Kingston. We are on the waterfront of Lake Ontario, so we do get a chilly wind that comes across campus. So we just tell our students, dress appropriately, seek the heating indoors, and if you do have to be outside going in between classes, just make sure that you're bundled up. So you'll get used to it. It's really fun seeing our international students experience their first Canadian winter. We have a hill on campus called Summer Hill, and you can often see students tobogganing down, snowball fights, and it's really wholesome.
How does Queen's University help the students when they're trying to adjust themselves with this weather?
Good question. So we have the Queen's University International Center, and so that's a really good hub of resources for a variety of things. But in that, I'll say weather and cultural transition piece for sure. They can help to navigate and point out different resources that are available. One of my peers actually started the Queen's Coat Club, and so you can actually go and receive a winter jacket or boots or warm clothing if you don't have access to those. And we do have current international student ambassadors that are a part of the undergraduate admission team. 2 of them are from GCC countries.
Wow.
And they absolutely would be happy to share their experience about how they navigated that Canadian winter. So I think openly talking about it, sharing a list of resources of what to pack, and then going to the International Center and completing those pre-arrival modules on navigating weather systems is definitely going to leave our students and their families feeling confident and supported.
Michelle, you've been a student at Queen's University, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of the challenges that students face, and how can they overcome these challenges?
Absolutely. So although I was a student a couple years ago, my family and a lot of my community growing up was only a 4-hour drive away. So I recognize that there are students that are taking a much longer commute to be a part of the Queen's community in Kingston. And so there's going to be some common challenges that come with that. As with any student, honestly, homesickness, cultural transitions for sure. You're going to see academic challenges, maybe the pace of learning, social transitions. Sometimes it's scary making new friends as much as we try to offer those supports during orientation week. And so those are quite common. But as I mentioned, there are supports available. I think my biggest piece of advice to our students is once things like orientation week for your academic program, orientation for your on or off campus housing accommodation wraps up, really lean on your DON or current peers within residence or within your student community to have those open conversations. Depending on how well you're feeling, there's also our student academic success services that can help you with that academic transition, student wellness services for both physical and mental health. And I think the International Center is a really great resource for overcoming some of those cultural transition pieces. The number one thing that I say to our students is that 95% of students are moving away from home to join Queen's in their first year of study. but 100% of students starting are experiencing Queen's for the first time. So everyone's probably going to be in that same situation. And I think that there's strength in knowing that it's not just you going through it, your peers are too. So reach out, take the initiative to ask for help if you're not familiar with what resources available.
And then what is the student life over there? How do students experience that life there?
Yeah, so when you come over, the homesickness and the academic challenges, that's going to be probably recurring throughout your degree, your 4 or 5 years together. And so student life, I would say involvement is the pillar of a Queen's education. Our paid professional internships and international exchanges are cultural pillars of a Queen's experience. So we have over 220 exchange partners in 50 different countries around the world that students can go on a semester abroad. We also have the paid professional internship, which is a 12 to 16 month professionally paid program with an average salary of about 50,000 Canadian dollars for the year.
Wow.
So it allows students to build out that network, get experience within Canada, but we also do have international partners that we can work with and really enhance their involvement through extracurriculars. So we have over 300 student-run clubs, over 14,000 different intramurals and exercise classes that are offered throughout the year. And 80% of our students participated in some form of athletics and recreation last year. So between traveling on exchange, getting that intercultural perspective, paid internships, student clubs, it's a vibrant community. It's very much involved. And I think circling back to the diversity of the Queen's community, having those different perspectives from 126 different countries really allows for that intercultural mindset and allows students to be prepared for not only when they're at Queen's, but when they graduate.
That sounds like a really, really fun experience. And if I was a student, I'd probably come to Queen's as well.
I like hearing that. I'll give you a Viva.
So Michelle, you mentioned about internships.
Mm-hmm.
What are other programs or benefits that students can achieve or avail of when they're at Queen's University?
So a lot of our students want to have a little bit of financial contribution, either for their entertainment purposes or towards their education. And so it's great that there are on and off-campus employment opportunities for our students. Now, specific for students coming in on a study permit, those students can work up to 20 hours per week during the academic term. And when you are not within your academic term, so your summers, you can work up to 40 hours per week if you choose to remain in Canada. So opportunities to enhance both their professional experience, their financial contributions to wherever they decide to put that towards. But all of those things can be addressed and approached with not only our Career Services Office, but also the International Centre. And I mentioned the International Centre because navigating study permits, work permits, Canadian and Ontario provincial laws, taxes, all of those things can be legally and trustfully guided by our immigration student advisors that are based in the International Centre. And they're available both in person and virtually for our current students. And our admissions office actually just hired an international student advisor who is legally licensed to help support in navigating all of the permit application processes. So definitely an opportunity to get involved, earn some money, but in navigating a new Canadian legal system, a provincial legal system, I encourage students to do their research, but also reach out to the International Centre for some support.
Okay, note down that.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to find your way through the international legal advisors.
Yeah, so our international student advisors, it's one role within the International Centre. But the great thing about the International Centre is that we actually have pre-arrival modules. So as part of our students who are living internationally, you are encouraged to complete pre-arrival modules that go over things like banking, weather changes, getting to campus. And so all of those things can be extremely helpful before you even leave your home country.
So that segues into my next question, travel.
Yes.
How easy is it for off-campus students to come to campus, and what are the sort of travel arrangements they can easily access?
For sure. Before they get to campus, we need to get them into Canada. And so I think one of the great things about the city of Kingston is that it is, what I like to say, located halfway to everywhere. So we are perfectly situated in between 3 major cities, Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal, all of them less than a 3-hour commute. And the reason I bring that up is because there are also 3 international airports. So most of our students tend to choose, just based on flight path from UAE, Saudi, and some of the other Gulf states, is directly into Pearson. And that's super helpful because we recently launched an airport pickup service for our students. So if they want to participate in that, that is available to them, but there are also direct trains and buses that will bring them to the city of Kingston. Speaking of buses, once they are a student, most of our students rely on bicycles, rollerblades, skateboards, walking, or they will take the Kingston City Bus, which is included in their tuition fees. The reason I mentioned personal modes of travel first is that our campus is very compact. And so it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to walk anywhere on campus. Most of our students live within a 12 to 20-minute walking radius of campus, and the Kingston downtown core is only a 15-minute walk away. So everything's very accessible. I recognize in the UAE heat, walking maybe is not something that everybody tends to do for 15 or 20 minutes outside at a time, but within that beautiful Canadian climate, it's definitely something that our students welcome.
Wonderful. So I think this pretty much wraps up our podcast for today. I'd like to know, is there any other advice or tips that you'd like to share with the students who are planning on joining Queen's University and being a part of this family?
Yes, I love that you said family because we very much are a tight-knit community. The number one piece of advice I can give is submit your application. So applications for fall 2025 are open now at the Ontario University's Application Centre. They will remain open until February 1st for our business, health science, and nursing programs, and until March 1st for all other programs. Keeping in mind, the sooner you apply, the sooner we can assess the application, the sooner that we can take a look at those documents and get out offers of admission and scholarships that are available, and the sooner that our students can start to connect with our incredible team, including Ms. Shireen, who's based here in Dubai, UAE, and supports all of our students coming from the Middle East region. So find a university that's the best fit. Hopefully that's Queen's. Ask questions and submit those applications.
It was a pleasure having you here today. And we hope that we can see you again, maybe on this podcast or in person at Queen's University.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Angelica.
Thank you. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And we hope you guys got all the information that you need. If you need anything further, you can always reach out to Ms. Shireen.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're always here to help you at IDP.